All right, I figured I'd make one more update before we kind of get to the final end of this thing. Here's the wiring. So my old wiring is kind of on this half of the table, and then the new wiring, the standalone system, is over here. Sorry, I've got wires everywhere. And I'm merging them both, following, what is it, LT1 swap.com. Following their wiring diagrams. I don't have it in front of me, but basically joining the two together on the PCM plugs here. And then I'm actually going to come back and I'm going to take all these wires that connect to this here, and I'm going to put a splice on all of them, and I'm going to couple them together with plugs. That way, if I ever need to remove one wiring harness and not the other for whatever reason, I can. Also, to be easy to put these in one at a time rather than both at the same time. That'd be wild. It's a lot of wires. But the wiring was my biggest worry about this whole thing. I just took my time. I didn't stress on getting it done fast. I've been doing this over, you know, the wiring alone is going to take me personally about a week. Just really picking through it, and that's a lot of hours. I've spent many 6-hour days working on this, just slow and methodical, finding the wires, marking them, putting them in the right spots. The biggest trouble you will have, at least if you have what I have, which is the 97 Tahoe. I have a drive-by cable set up. Well, I did. Now it's drive-by wire. And I'm using a 2004, which is a blue-green PCM. The AC wiring is going to be an absolute pain because these are the only wires. There's 4 AC wires here that are hard to find where they go. I literally had to go on LS OBS Facebook page, and there was a guy who posted what he finally found on where to put these wires and how to wire them in. It's been a real pain. That's literally been 1 to 2 days alone on just those wires because I'm keeping my stock AC. I'll show you that in a minute. Everything else is good to go. Fairly straightforward. You do have to do some thinking, some digging, some figuring out, but all in all, we're really close to taping this all back together and wiring it. Like I said, I'm going to put these splitters on so I can easily disconnect this. So I basically have to cut all these wires here and then join them all together with a coupler. So that'll be fun. Yay. But let's take a look at the engine. Pretty much complete how it's going to look in the Tahoe. You can actually see in the front, I'm tempted to spray this black because it really stands out, but that's my new oil cooler. I can leave a link to the Amazon what I got. It was suggested by the transmission guy that he would warranty this transmission if I put this cooler in, so that's what I did. It's like a Be Cool something or other. It's like 140 bucks, 125 bucks, something like that. But here you go. I don't know if you can see it. It's dark out. I've got lights on everything. I got obviously the accessory. Oh my gosh, why am I spacing off? Who makes it? To keep my AC in the stock location. So this is the stock AC off the 97 Tahoe. I've seen some guys take this piece, twist it under here, go over. I have an oversized alternator for the stereo system, so it wouldn't have really worked, especially how I did my air. So I actually slowly bent this, pointed it towards here, routed it down, and we're good to go. Most guys take this, I'm going to show you here. I did something weird. This coolant line, and they go over the top here, and it just looked janky. I didn't like it. So I did some custom fab. I actually drilled a hole. You're not going to be able to see, it's too dark. I drilled a hole in here. I polished it down, smoothed it out. I put a slide cover over the hose so it helps protect it against maybe any kind of edge or whatever. I actually ran it underneath against the radiator, back out, and I actually notched underneath. There's some ribs here. I cut them out. I smoothed them down with a file. and then I electrical taped the hose all the way back, and then on top of that I also put a cover like what's on here, and it also the cover goes all along here, so nothing's going to directly contact the hose. It does clear the fan amazingly, so gosh, I don't know if you can see it here. You're not going to be able to see it, but this hose clears by an inch or so on this fan. You're not going to be able to see the fan. I didn't think it would clear, but I mean, you can see how tight everything is as is. The hose only has about 3/4 of an inch here against the belt, and then my air intake is like 1/8 of an inch away from the hose. So that's wild. I did get these hose parts off of Amazon. I can leave those links if you'd like as well below. This is a tight fit. This is a 45-degree 6 inches on both sides. I just went with the carbon fiber because I thought it'd look cool. This is a 90-degree 4-inch rubber elbow. I did shave it down so it's almost more than 90 degrees because it really has to kind of go back a little bit. And then I just took the mass airflow sensor off of this engine, put it here, and I wanted to actually have a cold air intake. I see a lot of people just having their intake in the engine compartment, like over here, or even just a filter right here. That's not really cold air intake. It's sucking in the warm air in the engine bay. That kind of defeats the point. I know it still works. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I wanted true cold air. I had this cold air on my Tahoe. I decided to modify it and use it. I just twisted the elbow here, twisted it this way. I re-drilled a new hole in the bottom of the box, and I twisted the box just slightly, but it's still pressed against the hole over here, so it's getting cold air from the outside, not from the engine bay. Mind you, yeah, it's still sucking in somewhere through a hole or whatever over here, but for the most part, this is about as true as you're going to get cold air intake. It looks cool. It looks good. It barely clears everything. I mean, I've got little to no room from almost hitting on the alternator here. I'm sure we're gonna have to work out a few bugs there. But yeah, so we're ready for wiring, amazingly. The engine fit pretty good. The Dirty Dingo mounts did their thing. Speed Engineering headers, you're not gonna be able to see them right now. I'll take another video in the daylight. Had to beat the crap out of this one, mainly because I kept the engine forward because I wanted to keep my front driveline as it was. I can push the engine an inch that way. It probably would have cleared the header on this side. I didn't want that. I wanted the engine forward, not only for my driveline, but to keep the fan as much in here as possible. I know some people buy an F250 from a certain year fan, which is a little bit longer and actually bolts right up. It gets it in here, but it's also taller, so in my case, it would hit my coolant hose, and I don't want that. Yeah, I mean, that's about all I could think about right now. This was a solid amount of work. I mean, you have to be committed, and I would have a second vehicle. If you're going to do an LS swap, have a place to do it, a covered area, have time, be patient. I believe anybody can do this. I do, with time and patience. If you're in a hurry, you're going to be in a rush, you're impatient, or it's your only vehicle, I wouldn't do it. I'm just telling you, I would not do it. I have at least 2 vehicles, so I'm lucky in that sense. If I didn't have 2 vehicles, I'd be screwed. This is a process. This is a long deal, but can't wait to get this thing fired up. Probably within a week or so. We'll shoot another video. We'll let you know how that goes. All right, talk to you again soon. Later.